Hello, my name is Sanjana Buddi. I am the Peer Youth Femme Director for 2020 to 2021. I was previously Student Director of Peer Youth in 2018, and I am a rising sophomore at Rutgers University here in New Jersey. Dear Femme is a menstrual hygiene awareness campaign that is dedicated towards ending the taboo around menstrual hygiene and providing and empowering women through giving them supplies like pads and toilets, water, and incinerators. I actually got the opportunity to be able to go on a volunteer trip to India going into my senior year of high school, and it really just opened my eyes to the amount of privilege that I held, and it motivated me to get more involved with Pure. So that's why I decided to get back involved with Pure after my freshman year in college. Being female myself, I think that I've always grew up in a very, South Asian community, which is not very open to talking about periods. So I personally would refer to my period as things like the time of the month or the Japanese flag. And so I realized how negative those stereotypes were, saying things like, oh, Aunt Flo is here. And I realized that we should be able to confidently say, I am on my period. It didn't make sense that we were trying to find code words to describe this time of the month that we really couldn't control. We had no control over when our period would come, how often, or how many days it would last. And the fact that it's so natural means that it should be discussed more comfortably. We should definitely normalize this conversation, because just in the same way that you can't stop cancer, you really can't stop your period. So I think that just knowing that, and then seeing and learning about the statistics that surround how many women drop out of schools because of their period, how many women use things like sand or grocery bags instead of pads, and how it negatively affects their health, definitely pushed me to want to get involved in this amazing cause that Pure has started. As I said previously before, a lot of women and kids specifically tend to drop out of their schooling education once they start their period, because they look at their period as an ending point. But we're trying to stop that. So we want to make sure that women continue their education and understand that this is something that's normal and something that you live with, something that you learn to become accustomed to, and something that you work with. This shouldn't be the end of your education, but just a little pause, maybe a comma. I'm a part of Pure Youth Femme, which means that I work with 4 other amazingly dedicated volunteers. They're ambassadors in their own branches. We have people from all over the East Coast, and they are high school students that are also very actively working to advocate for the end of period poverty. They also work heavily with fundraising, and they are just such a dedicated team that I'm very lucky to have. So one of the main things about Pure Femme is that we're a very small team of dedicated ambassadors. Currently, applications are closed for our team, but we're always looking to expand, in our further years. So if you want to make sure that you show yourself as an ally, as someone who wants to be dedicated towards working towards the Pure Youth Femme cause, please take initiatives within your own branch. So leading any type of event, or leading meetings, or actively trying to reach out to see if you guys can do period initiatives of your own. And we'll recognize that. We'll see your hard work, and we'll reach out to you definitely when a spot opens up. So Pure Youth Femme so far has helped over 200,000 pads be distributed both in Ethiopia and India, parts of Nepal as well. We have helped over 133,000 girls since our start, and we have hosted thousands of workshops. So we are actively working, whether it's in India, Ethiopia, or in the United States, we're always working to just get the information out there, get the supplies out there, and make sure that women are being heard, their concerns are being heard, and we're helping them in any way that we can to make sure that they feel empowered. We aren't mainly focused in the US at the moment, but we actually had a youth director from the Georgia chapter. Her name is Buddi, and she reached out about a concern she had. So the state of Georgia has recently cut their budget for providing public schools with sanitary napkins by 86% in 1 year. She understood how big of a cut that was and how drastically it was going to impact girls all over the state. And she decided to take the initiative of reaching out to her student directors and asking if she could do a project that would directly help her state. So helping out in a local, state level, statewide project. And we heard her, we recognized her concerns, and she will be working on that in either the fall or the winter. During the pandemic, we were actively working to continue distribute pads because although Pure mainly works in schools and during the time of schools being in session, we also realized that, especially if women are being social distanced, women aren't able to go to schools, we need to make sure that they still get the supplies that they need, because just because the pandemic came doesn't mean your period ends. So we made sure that women get supplies that they need, toilets, water incinerators, and pads during the time of the pandemic. And currently we are working with Pure Youth, which is also part of Pure, and we are working to get them projects so that they can also be involved in the Pure Femme initiative. One of my main goals after becoming Pure Youth Femme's director is to make sure that we have ended the taboo within Pure first, and then moving on to end the taboo in all these other countries. Because I've had some concerns raised when I was talking to a few directors or mentors, and I realized that we haven't completely ended the taboo within our own nonprofit. So I'll actually be hosting a presentation to actively work to help people understand periods, puberty, the taboo, and what Pure is doing to help it. And I'll also be working actively to raise awareness and advocacy by going to conferences, hosting webinars that reach out to people all across the United States and hopefully across the world as well, and using social media as a platform to really emphasize our voices. So I just wanted to go a little bit more into detail about the amazing work that we do in Ethiopia. So when you look at Ethiopia, you understand that there are parts that are very, very modern, big cities, like, skyscrapers, cars, but there are also parts that are very, very rural and tribal. And that's where we focus most of our work in Ethiopia. So we were able to go to a tribal village, and obviously we're outsiders. So we had to find ways to help them slowly get rid of the taboo that surrounds periods in that area. So we realized that by going to the cultural leaders and the religious leaders of those communities, we would be able to slowly have them accept the idea of periods, have them slowly discuss what periods are, and help them get a better understanding of how to deal with this instead of thinking of it as a negative social norm. So that's one of my favorite initiatives to talk about. And we also provide them with workshops, sanitary napkins, toilets, water incinerators as well. I also wanted to go a little bit more into detail about some of the things that we are doing in India. So as you guys know, India just has a very large stigma against this, but being able to even just say the word, I'm on my period, or being able to understand what's going on in your body is just so important. So those workshops are so crucial to making sure that first, this generation does not have a stigma around periods and is willing to normalize the conversation. And from there, the next generations to follow will also have that.